Let me guess. Back home, being divorced at 60 feels like wearing a scarlet letter, like you are damaged goods. Like the best parts of your story are already written and you somehow missed your shot. Your younger colleagues have newer wives, and you are at family barbecues explaining the situation to people who smile too carefully. I want you to hear me say this very clearly. You have been lied to. Here in the Philippines, specifically among traditional family values women, a divorced man at 60 is not a consolation prize. He is often the most desired option on the table. And I am going to tell you exactly why, because the reasons are deeply rooted in our culture and in what our women have been raised to need. But I also need to warn you, because most desired can attract the wrong kind of attention just as fast as the right kind. And if you walk into this market not understanding why you are valuable, you will be taken advantage of by people who understand your value far better than you do. Stay with me. I am going to tell you what traditional Filipinas actually want, what your divorce signals to us that is genuinely positive, and how to make sure the women who find you attractive are doing so for the right reasons. And if you want to keep getting this kind of honest inside view on Filipina culture that nobody else is giving you, subscribe. I started this channel to protect men like you, and I am not finished yet. Let me take you somewhere for a moment. A small Filipino province, a barangay. Sunday morning, the church is full, every family dressed in their best. And after Mass, the families gather outside. The old men talking about politics and harvests. The old women noting who is courting who. And the single women standing with their mothers watching. What are they watching for? Not the loudest man, not the most flamboyant. They are watching for the man who listens, the man who moves through a crowd with quiet dignity, the man who pays for things without making a production of it, the man who has been somewhere, done something, carried weight, and survived. Now, you are 63. You have been married before. You have children, maybe grandchildren. You have a mortgage that is almost paid off and a retirement account that represents decades of showing up to work when you did not want to. You have driven in ice storms and survived illnesses and attended funerals and navigated divorce court and came out the other side still standing. In the context of that Filipino Sunday morning, you are not damaged goods. You are exactly what those women are praying for. I do not say this to flatter you. I say this because I grew up in that barangay. I went to that Sunday church. I sat with those women and listened to what they actually wanted, not the curated answer for company, but what they said when it was just us. They wanted a man who had already made his mistakes, because a man who has already made his mistakes is far less likely to make them again. He does not need to prove himself through recklessness. He has already tested his own limits and learned where they are. A young Filipino man, sweet as he may be, is still in the process of that testing. He is still making decisions based on pride and what his friends will think. He is still learning how to be responsible. And the women who have watched their fathers and brothers go through this, some of them are exhausted by it before the marriage even starts. You, the 63-year-old divorced American man, have already done the growing. From the outside, that looks like peace. That looks like safety. That looks like the Sunday morning man. Now your divorce itself. Let me speak directly about this. In the Philippines, divorce is not legal in the civil sense. It is extraordinarily complicated, expensive, and rare for Filipinos to exit bad marriages, which means many traditional Filipino women, especially those who have watched relatives trapped in miserable or abusive marriages with no legal exit, carry a quiet, deep respect for a man who got out of something that was not working, legally, without drama, and rebuilt. Your divorce is not a stain in their eyes. It is, in many cases, evidence of self-awareness. The question they ask is not, why did he get divorced? The question is, what kind of man did the divorce make him? And I will tell you something else that surprises Western men when I say it. A man who experienced a bad marriage and still speaks about his former wife with basic dignity, who does not spend hours on a first video call poisoning the well about how terrible she was. That man is interesting to a traditional Filipina. It tells her that he processes pain without rage, that he can hold disappointment without becoming bitter. In a culture where bitterness in men creates enormous damage inside families, a man who has suffered and remained decent is genuinely attractive. Do not be afraid of your history. Your history, handled with grace, is part of what makes you worth knowing. Now let me tell you what happens when word gets around that a Western man, divorced, 60 plus, financially stable, emotionally mature, is available. Because this is where it gets both wonderful and complicated, and I need you to see both sides clearly. There is a category of Filipina woman who is genuinely attracted to what you represent. Traditional, family-oriented, raised with values that still prioritize commitment, loyalty, and genuine partnership. She sees your stability as security. She sees your maturity as compatibility. She is not looking for a fantasy. She has been pragmatic her entire life, raised to think practically about her future. She wants a good man who will be a steady presence. She does not care that you are not 35. In fact, she prefers that you are not. And then there is another category, and they are watching the same man with very different eyes. To this second category, your divorce at 60 plus signals vulnerability, loneliness. A man who has been without a partner for a while, or worse, a man who has been in a cold, emotional desert of a marriage, and who is now suddenly available and hungry to be loved again. That hunger, I say this with so much compassion for you, makes you the ideal target. The scammer does not love you, but she understands you. She has studied the profile of the recently divorced Western man with more focus than you have studied her. She knows you want to feel desired. She knows you want to feel useful again, needed again, attractive again. She knows the specific ache that comes from years in a marriage where you felt invisible, and she will play directly into all of it. She will tell you that Filipino women appreciate older men in a way that younger women back home never could. She is right, by the way. Some of us genuinely do. But she will weaponize that truth to create a false sense of uniqueness. You are not just another foreigner to me. I have never felt this way with anyone. The men here do not know how to treat a woman like you do. Every line is designed to feed the specific hunger that divorce and loneliness have created in you. There is also a third dynamic I see often with divorced men specifically, and this one is more subtle. A divorced 60-plus American man is seen in certain family contexts as a long-term financial solution. Not necessarily by the woman herself, she may genuinely like you, but by her mother, her brothers, her cousins who are very comfortable offering their opinions. He is stable. He will take care of her. And then later, he will take care of all of us. This can happen gradually, almost invisibly, one small emergency at a time, each one reasonable, each one handled, until suddenly you are managing the financial life of an entire extended family and wondering how you got here. Let me give you the translation now, because I want you to walk away with a clear picture of what the real thing looks like versus what the performance looks like. A traditional Filipina woman who is genuinely attracted to a divorced 60-plus man will show it in one specific way above all others. She will be calm. That sounds simple, but it is rare and valuable. She will not be in a hurry. She will not be pushing the relationship forward at an uncomfortable speed. Traditional women who are serious about a relationship are careful about it. They move slowly. They observe. They ask questions that are not about your finances. What was your favorite thing about your marriage? What do you wish had been different? What are you looking for now? These are the questions of a woman evaluating whether you are a good fit for her real life, not her fantasy, not her financial plan, her actual grow old together life. She will also at some point share her own complicated history. Traditional Filipinas do not have perfectly simple pasts either. Maybe she was in a long relationship that ended badly. Maybe she married young and the man was unfaithful. Maybe she raised a child alone. When she shares this with you, not to gain sympathy, just to be honest, she is treating you as an equal. She is saying, I have my own complications, I see yours. Let us see if they fit together rather than fight each other. That is the real intimacy. Two people with history looking at each other's history without flinching. Now about the family piece, because this is not all negative. When a Filipino family accepts you genuinely, not because you are paying for things, but because they respect you, it is one of the most profound validations a man can receive. Her mother treating you like a son, her siblings teasing you the way they tease each other, being included in the ordinary Sunday chaos of a Filipino household. That is not a transaction, that is belonging. And a divorced man at 60 who maybe does not have the warmest family relationships back home, who has felt the distance from his adult children, who has felt alone in ways that are hard to articulate. That belonging can be the most healing thing he has ever experienced. I have seen it transform men, not through drama or romance, through the simple act of being included, being sat next to at the dinner table, being asked to taste the soup. The difference between being loved by a Filipino family and being used by one comes down to one thing. What happens when the money is not there? If the warmth continues when you say no, if the relationship survives a single, kind refusal, you are being loved. If the warmth disappears the moment you hold a boundary, you were never really in the family. You were in the budget. So here is my direct advice to the divorced man at 60 plus who is navigating a relationship with a Filipina. First, own your history confidently. Do not apologize for your divorce. Do not over-explain it. If she asks about your marriage, be honest, be brief, and be clear about what you learned from it. A traditional Filipina woman respects a man who can look at his own failures without either collapsing under them or pretending they did not happen. My marriage ended. It was painful. I learned what I needed to learn, and I am a different man because of it. That is enough. That is everything. Second, do not lead with your financial stability. I know it feels like your clearest advantage, but leading with money immediately teaches a woman that money is how you communicate worth. And then you are surprised when she measures the relationship in financial terms. Lead with your time, your attention, your consistency. Those are actually rarer and more valuable than your bank account. And any woman who is genuinely drawn to you as a person will respond to them far more deeply. Third, move at the pace of trust, not the pace of excitement. The excitement will fade, it always does. What replaces it or does not is the foundation. Build the foundation before the house. That means having the boring conversations, the values conversations, the what does your daily life actually look like right now conversations, not the romantic ones, the real ones. Fourth, learn about the utang na loob dynamic before you visit. Not to be suspicious of everyone, Most Filipino families are warm and genuine and will love you for real if you give them reason to. But so that when a family emergency arises, and it will, you are making a decision from clarity rather than from guilt or obligation. It is not wrong to help. Help is a beautiful thing. But help freely given is different from help extracted by social pressure. A woman who genuinely loves you will be embarrassed when her family uses the guilt mechanism. That discomfort on her part is an important sign. Fifth, and this is perhaps the most important thing I can tell you, believe that you deserve the real thing. I see so many men in this community, good men, kind men, men who have lived full and difficult lives, who have convinced themselves that genuine affection from a genuinely good woman is simply not available to them anymore. That the best they can hope for is a managed performance of love in exchange for financial support. That is not true. It is a lie that loneliness tells you. There are women here, good, traditional, warm, serious women, who genuinely want the man I described at the beginning of this video. The man who has been somewhere, who has made his mistakes, who knows how to sit still and how to be kind, who is done performing and ready to simply be. That man is you, and you deserve to find her with clear eyes and an honest heart. Subscribe, stay informed, and walk into this with the confidence of a man who knows his own value, not just because a young Filipina on YouTube told you so, but because you have lived enough life to have actually earned it. Because the truth is this: somewhere right now, in a barangay or a city apartment or a small province house, there is a woman who has been hoping for the Sunday morning man. The one who has already done the growing. The one who will sit beside her in church and fix things and show up. She is not waiting for perfect. She is waiting for real. And real at 60 plus, with your history and your resilience and your hard-earned patience, that is more than enough.